Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape.
Tape Talks.
Welcome to Tape Talks, a special new series from We Found a Tape. Here we sit down with directors, filmmakers and cinematographers to deep dive into the creative process behind found footage filmmaking, from writing and shooting to the journey of bringing these unique stories to life.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Tape Talks here from We Found a Tape. Today we're joined by the Horror Hippies themselves, Erica and Steven Nelson, the creators, writers, directors, actors, extraordinaires behind movies such as Old Wounds and the upcoming Finaltransmissions. So thank you very much for joining us and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I feel hyped up now.
Good. Yeah. I like to act like the hype man, especially at the beginning, to get everyone pumped and ready to go, ready to talk about found footage.
And I'm always ready to talk found footage.
Hell yeah. Well, first of all, we'll sort of start from that element. What are some of the first some both of your favorite found footage films, and also kind of what got you into found footage in the first place? I know everyone has an origin story, so
yeah, for sure. I mean, hearing the Legends of Blair Witch Project when I was a teenager, of course, but it probably wasn't until I saw Paranormal Activity back before it came out in wide release. They had a campaign where you had to demand it come to your city, and so it started off in, like, I think college towns, and then it moved on. So I got to see a really early screening of that, and it just totally blew me away. I was so invested. I was so frightened. I thought it was real, and completely just like that whole format. And then Cloverfield, and then I was just like completely sold on that format. Yeah, I love the entire subgenre. Old Wounds was inspired by Creep, and there's another movie that Mark Duplass was part of called Baghead, which isn't found footage, but it's shot kind of like a documentary. That was a big inspiration. And then I'd say my favorite one is probably, it's a little gem I try to share with as many people as possible. It's called Butterfly Kisses.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love the layering of there's different levels of meta, and it's such a cool premise and kind of its own like weird creepypasta invention, which is we kind of were inspired by that for our segment in Final Transmissions. And I'm curious about what your favorite is.
So it's funny. I've always been into horror, but I think the first found footage movie I ever saw was Cloverfield, and it was just so shaky, and I just got like nauseous during it. So I just decided from then on I don't like found footage.
That was like two branching paths with Cloverfield, yeah. Apparently.
Oh yeah.
And my middle name is Blair, so when I was little, people would call me Blair Witch. So I was like, I don't want to see that movie. But I actually watched it more recently, I guess in the last year or so. And I like that one. I also really love Butterfly Kisses. I thought that was a really great way to use that format. But yeah, it's been a really fun format to play around with.
I've been trying to educate her because there's just so many, and it's like you can do whatever you want with it. It's kind of like setting something in space, right? Like you could do any subgenre and make it found footage, and then it feels fresh again. And so I think, and we're interested too in kind of playing with the tropes where like, we just don't want to do exactly what's been done before. We want to kind of take it in different directions. So that's kind of been our goal.
Awesome. No, that's brilliant. There's some great found footage movies there. Butterfly Kisses is one I actually watched it for the first time recently.
Oh yeah.
Probably within the last like 4 or 5 weeks. And yeah, it really stuck out to me. It was really, really well done. I thought it was a different type of film from what it actually was. I thought it was more of like one of those sort of snuff type ones. I don't know. I think I heard someone say it sometime, and I was like, Butterfly Kisses is brutal, and I was just like, oh, I guess it sounds like it. Maybe they were confused with something else, but watching it, I was like, wow, this is really impactful found footage. And I also found out that the director had passed as well, and I was just kind of really gutted at that point because, like, I love finding new movies and then finding out about the filmmakers and their influences and seeing all that and hearing their stories. Like, really the main reason we started this show was to hear about directors and filmmakers. So it really made me quite upset that I wouldn't have that
I'm
chance.
glad you touched on that, because I feel like not many people know that the director took his own life, and it's just so sad because you can see the issues he was having in his life reflected in the movie about how filmmaking was kind of getting in the way of a relationship, and it was impacting his life. And I think all filmmakers, all artists struggle with money and trying to be productive and get your artwork seen. And it's just such a shame, because in the years since, it's really become this kind of cult classic that people are discovering, and it's kind of been like, it's just like, if he had just waited, it's I don't know, it's just, I just wish more people could have access to mental health care and just not make that rash decision. But
of course, and as you touch on that, we watched Old Wounds recently, which to me was very poignant in mental health and dealing with it in the correct way and not sort of holding it back. So it's quite interesting that this is how the conversation has steered, because it's very much a huge prominent theme throughout Old Wounds that was right in your face and expertly done. I must say.
Thank you.
Like, it was a huge sort of character found footage, and that is almost like a refreshing thing, because it's not too often that you get those sort of things in such a niche sort of subgenre. So that was
we really tried to pour our hearts and souls into that. And I really struggled, especially in my 20s going into my 30s, with just what we talk about in the movie, about just feeling like a failure, like you haven't gotten anywhere and you're lost and you don't know how to find those opportunities. And I'm a big advocate for kind of taking care of your needs. You're making sure you're working out and meditating and staying social and having friends and family contacts. And that's kind of like where I start. If people are like, hey, do you have filmmaking advice? How can I make a movie? I kind of start with like, well, are you taking care of yourself first? That's the most important thing. And then once you have that taken care of, then you can add on. But yeah, I tried to put that, we tried to put that all into the movie, and I'm glad that resonated with you.
Yeah,
I'm curious, David, what's some of your favorites?
So some of my favorite found footage, I started off with Blair Witch. So it was in my teens. I'm 41, so I saw that early in my coming into my teen years. So I actually saw that on one of the opening nights. So that was the first one for me. As I got later into life, I kind of watched more just general horror, things like that, and then started getting into things like Paranormal Activity. Let's see what else. What was one that kind of Area 51 was one that stuck out for me when it came out.
Oh, wow.
That was a really good one. I enjoyed that one. Anything that had to do with aliens at the time, I was really into, and still to this day. And to go away from found footage like Fire in the Sky, that was really a big alien movie for me as well. But even now today, like some of the stuff that's come out in the last few years has really been great. Things like the Hell House franchise, things like that. And I really like what Found TV is doing now, that they have that platform for just found footage, and some that are not so well known. It gets out there for people that are really into found footage or getting into it. Just to kind of give them those suggestions of things that they've never seen before, and they can experience and really get see the genre for what it is. That it's really a great genre to see.
Yeah, they I think they really get it and understand. They're actually producing McKinney Family Home Videos too, and the creator and director of that, Nick, is making an episode of Final Transmissions. We're so happy to get him on board.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's been fascinating to see this evolve over the past 30 years. Because I think the common kind of tropes of like abandoned buildings and forests and ghosts and supernatural, like that tends to be where people go with it. I think now you have this new wave of filmmakers. You have people that grew up with it, but now you have the younger generation who this stuff is fascinating to them because this is old technology that it's kind of like, oh, what is this weird stuff that looks creepy, and they're getting into it, and now you're getting more exploratory sort of visions. I mean, so Alex Hera, we're working with them on Final Transmissions, and they have these wonderful analog horror documentary on their YouTube. But they have a feature coming out called What I Remember, and it's more of a drama. Same with Robbie, who did the Outwaters. He's got a movie called Tinsman Road, it's more of a drama. And that's what Old Wounds, I can kind of consider a drama the first time you watch it, and a comedy the second time you watch it. But also playing and having fun with the horror tropes. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. The landscape of found footage has definitely moved into a different type of era, with that sort of renaissance of old technology combining with some of the newer things like TikTok and all those sort of things. Like screen life is a huge subgenre for me that I really enjoyed. Early screen life stuff like the Collingswood story, which was webcam based back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was kind of one of the first sort of screen life ones that I saw. Spree is a huge one. That's probably one of my favorites for sure. But I like I would say probably now one of my favorite found footage is Phoenix Forgotten.
I still need to see that one.
Oh man, to me it's like almost like the ultimate found footage film. Like I guess a lot of people didn't quite clue into it at the time, but I mean it's been out for nearly 10 years now. Ridley Scott produced it.
Is that an
alien move? Sorry, what was that?
Is that an alien invasion?
Kind of, yeah. It's based on the Phoenix Lights phenomenon, and it's sort of loosely based on that. What they classified it as found footage close encounters. So if you're fans of aliens, then definitely check it out. But even found footage fans, like I always recommend that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
A lot of people don't talk about it.
I think from somewhere around like maybe 2007 to like 2012, like found footage was kind of in the zeitgeist, and every studio was making them, and they were all over. And then people got burnt out on them, and that's when you got the backlash. And then people just started trashing any found footage movie just because they were just kind of tired of it, which is such a shame because I think a lot of them got lost in that mix and are now being rediscovered. So you'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, there's 50 more found footage movies than I had any idea.
Honestly, you're not alone. When we started doing this, I thought, let's do like a subgenre rather than like a general horror podcast. Because I mean, realistically, how many found footage movies can there be? Turns out there's a lot, and there's so much more that we ever could have imagined. And not only the Hollywood type stuff like Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity, but like the underground, boots to the ground, like low budget found footage. And there's been just such great creativity that's came out of it, and we've met so many amazing people and found so many amazing movies that it's just been like it's always a constant breath of fresh air. So we love found footage.
Yeah, definitely good for low budget filmmaking.
Yeah, it's kind of forming a garage band. It's very punk rock. You don't need a lot of resources to get started, and you can just gotta run wild and do whatever you want. So yeah, it's been great to meet all these other filmmakers, especially at like Unnamed Footage Festival. I don't know if y'all have been there.
No, unfortunately not. No, we only just kind of discovered it sort of this year. We haven't really been doing a podcast for very long. Realistically, it's been since about January, so we've just discovered all this, Unnamed Footage Fest and all that. So that's definitely something that we're interested in for the future for sure.
Yeah,
we're playing. They have a virtual fest in, I want to say September, and we're playing Old Wounds playing there. That's our last fest actually.
Yeah, it's like a 24-hour straight movie.
Virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's great. As well, when you were mentioning festivals, I know you were doing a bunch of different ones. There was Chattanooga recently that you mentioned, and also you guys were at the Toronto International Horror Film Festival. For our Old Wounds was showing there. I don't know if you guys were there, but like
We didn't know, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the one festival. It was the same time as Panic Fest, so wasn't able to make it out to Canada. But
yeah, so I'm based just outside Toronto.
Oh, okay.
And, we interviewed James Ersted, who made What Happened to Susie.
Yeah.
And it was playing I think in the same week, and they had a couple of different shows of that, and just the timing didn't work out. But that was another festival I recently discovered, and the amount of found footage that was there was just incredible. So
it's been so I don't know, rewarding, gratifying to see found footage kind of break out again. It's kind of rising, and there are so many festivals that are now programming multiple found footage movies. Duba Duba has been at a bunch of festivals. That one's a weird, wacky, wild ride that I really enjoyed. What was the one?
We saw Alan at Night at Chattanooga. That was really good.
Yeah. And so to see these movies kind of pop up at other festivals, and then just in general in the mainstream, like there's a lot of movies that are just incorporating found footage elements, you know, recording on someone's phone or looking at live streams or whatever. It's kind of just becoming intertwined.
Even Twisters had a found footage moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And this might turn into a found footage thing right here. So
it might
It
just
might. Very well could.
David, I'll let you.
Yeah. Sorry, bear with me here just a second.
You know, if you line up me and David and John in an order, you could see like the evolution of a beard.
Yeah, evolution of a beard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the other side.
My
bearded brother.
It's just a case of just not shaving.
Yeah. Hey, I understand. You know?
Yeah. I used to be the opposite. I used to have like really long hair and no beard, and then when I cut my hair, I was like, I need something.
Yeah. You just flipped it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, guys, with Old Wounds. One of the things that stood out to me was the property that the movie was shot on. I really like the scenery on the property, things like that. Was it is it a personal property, like a friend or family Airbnb, or was it just kind of like a general out of the hat kind of place to shoot at?
Yeah, so it's actually my aunt and uncle's property where they live. They had 8 children, so they raised 8 children on that property. And my uncle built the house himself, which is why parts of it like aren't really finished. But it's really cool. He's an architect, and so it had a lot of personal meaning to it. But they were gracious enough to let us film there, and it was really fun. Yeah,
we went there for the 4th of July a couple years ago, and right when we pulled up, I was like, we need to film here. Like, this is a horror movie house. Don't tell your aunt I said that. But and you know, while we were filming, she was kind of apologizing about like, oh, sorry, you know, like the stairs aren't finished and the barn is full of junk. And I'm like, no, that's great. This is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. And like a month after we finished filming, the whole clan like came down there, all my cousins, and they cleaned out the entire barn, and
we made it just in time.
Yeah, so it would have been not great.
Wow, yeah, it was really nice. The entire scenery, the whole land, everything around it. I really like that part of the house too on the inside where the stairs were unfinished. It kind of seemed like they were going to nowhere at some points, and it just gave that really creepy vibe, especially the part where you're going down to the basement where it's just all walls and no, you know, handles or anything like that. It was very narrow going down, almost like a claustrophobic kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that worked for you. We knew, like, you know, so the whole movie we had an outline of scenes we needed and character arcs, but we improvised all of the dialogue. All the scenes are improvised. But when I was coming up with the outline, you know, there are a lot of things to consider: character stuff, pacing, but also like locations and how do we keep it fresh, and how do we, you know, when do we use certain locations? So I knew, like, okay, the basement, the attic, and the barn, those have to be third act. You know, like you can't kind of waste that early on, because then where do you go from there? So I knew, like, we're gonna save those for the end, so that by the time you're going down those steps, you really don't want to.
Right. Yeah, it was perfect timing because, you know, as things started to build towards the end, you start getting with the creepy basement, things like that, and it really just added to the later part of the movie. So well done on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
And with the filmmaking process of this, I know there's a lot on like a smartphone, and then there's a VHS camera. Were those really the main equipment that was used? Like, was there any sort of sound design or anything? What was that sort of process like for actually filming the movie?
Yeah. So we've developed a process of shooting features that we kind of try to strip away as much as we can, and just focus on the creativity and getting the movie filmed. So we've been shooting a lot on our iPhones because it's so accessible. You always have it on you. They shoot 4K. They're just like, you know, to me, it's just like, it's just perfect, because you literally just pull it out and you're filming already. And so you don't have to worry about, oh, let me fiddle with this, and I got to attach this lens, and let's move this light. And it's like, no, we can just, hey, I have an idea, go, you know? So I love how quick and flexible it is for creativity. So that's half the story. But then we shot on a camera, a high-8 camera, and it's actually the same camera that our friend Anthony filmed Frogman on. And then,
Oh, wow.
so he filmed Frogman, and then we borrowed it and shot Old Wounds, and then we gave it to our friend Carson, and he went and shot this movie. It's not out yet. I saw an early cut, and it rips. It's called The Killing Cell, and it takes place in a prison. And same camera.
Like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Camera.
Yeah. It's kind of making the rounds. And then he gave it to Blair Bathory. She's the director. She took it to Cannes. So it's kind of it's getting all over. So I might be cursed. I don't know.
In a good way.
It's like the camera's becoming a celebrity.
Yeah. And two, you know, I feel like with Old Wounds specifically, you know, often the camera is almost an afterthought in found footage. Like, it's just the mechanism in which you're watching the story. And I thought it would be a really cool idea if the cameras reflected the people operating them, and that you could tell by just looking at the footage, it tells you a lot about the character. And also, you know, seeing through someone else's perspective, which it's intentional that throughout the movie, we don't really get to see from Ashley's perspective that much. It's Graham and Steve that are operating the camera, so you're seeing their perspective. And it's not really mostly until the end when we get some of that from her. And then, you know, by like Graham giving her the camera, it's in a way it's saying, hey, I understand you now. Now you could see through my perspective. And we also didn't want to, a lot of bigger movies, they'll have a DP who operates the camera, and then the actor will just stand behind the camera and deliver lines. But I really feel like it comes through that you can tell who's operating the camera. And so in Old Wounds, like, you know that that's Graham holding that camera. You know, you could tell the way he moves and zooms and stuff. So I really wanted to just use it to embrace the characters.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Now that you've mentioned that, it's now like in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that is true. That is very true. Very poignant. I love that. Finding out more and more about like either the creative process or the intentional storytelling from the mind of a creator after you've seen it and interpreted it is always just so fascinating to me, and it always sheds another light on it that either you saw and didn't really acknowledge, or didn't see at all, and it's opening up your eyes. So yeah, always gives me a fonder appreciation when I hear things like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and you never know as a creator what is actually coming through to the audience. You try your best to communicate and hope that people can get on the same page or understand what you're doing. And we knew, like, without spoiling anything, we knew that the movie, especially the ending, was going to piss some people off. But fortunately, so far, most of our feedback and reviews, people really got what we were doing, so that's been satisfying, that it's like, oh, I guess we communicated properly. But you're never going to please everybody. Some people, they just want the kind of like turn off your brain, ghosts pop out, jump scares, people getting ripped apart, which is great. That's fine. Yeah, that's fun too. But you got to be willing to go on a ride where we know the movie's a little long. We know that you have to kind of trust it and be patient. But I intentionally, I held back on cutting more, just because there's a lot of scenes in the movie that, yeah, on paper, if you were a producer, you might just be like, do we need this? This is just a minute we don't need. It's just a minute of Graham staring at the camera. Who cares? Just cut it out. And for me, it's like, no, that is the movie to me. When you're seeing these kind of private moments behind the scenes, like, you don't normally get to see that in a person's life. You don't get to see someone hitting themselves or having their own little meltdown. Like, people usually hide that, behind closed doors. I wanted to show that. To me, it was really important that we connected with these characters and that you could kind of relate and be like, oh, I've had meltdowns like that I've never told anybody about, but now I'm seeing it on screen. I feel kind of represented, So I tried to keep that stuff in.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really felt that in the film, that I've been one of those people that have dealt with depression and things like that, and seeing like the meltdown, when things are really bad, there's too many bad things going on and you just kind of break down. That part really resonated with me, because if you've ever experienced really hard times in your life, you've had that mental breakdown. So you really resonate with that, and I like that. I like the character buildup. In the beginning there was a lot of dialogue in the first 15-20 minutes, stuff like that, but it really helped to understand the character's emotions, where they're coming from, build their character, build those emotions. So when they're having those interactions, it really tells you who they are, and how they all connect and interact with each other later in the movie. Because and I'm sorry, I'm terrible with character names, but the woman, the female, she was very hesitant and didn't really want the friend that came to visit, and she was very ugly to him, essentially. And later on in the movie, they find a way to connect, because of his mother's death and things like that, and they kind of came to be together. So a lot of things that yeah, you could have said that they didn't need to be there, but in reality, they did need to be there for those scenes to happen and make it what it is.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, and I'm so glad that worked for you, because I think there is a lot of pressure in filmmaking to kind of get to the point, or people are worried, oh, the audience is going to lose interest. But I love just hanging out with characters, and I love getting to know them, so that when something goes wrong and characters change, that you really you sense that. And so I'm glad that worked, that we were able to take time and not rush the characters or all the emotional stuff. Because I could see someone wanting to just get to the horror, and it's like, well, yeah, that's there, but to me, this is more about the characters and what they're going through, and how there are certain reveals where I wanted the audience to almost feel not ashamed, but almost like I judged somebody. I just made assumptions about somebody, and I didn't know the backstory. And we all do that every day. It's just human nature. Like, you see someone in the grocery store for half a second, and immediately you've completely summed up this person's life, but that might all be incorrect. You have no idea what that person's going through at that moment. Right. And so that's I kind of wanted to take the audience on that journey of being like, oh man, I can't believe I thought that, but I didn't know this other thing, you know.
So there's a lot.
Yeah, it's and you see that in a lot of like mainstream movies that you know, they quickly get to the point as far as, you know, the horror of it, the gruesomeness and things like that, and there's not a lot of time to character build. And what I've noticed is that if you're a part of any of the found footage groups that are on Facebook, you find a lot of people, you know, you see some and I wouldn't say nobody's a true fan or anything like that, but are more passionate about found footage, where they're giving suggestions, you know, to watch this movie, watch that movie. Yeah, we didn't like it, but you know, it's something that, you know, or we didn't like this part or that part, but still give it a watch, and it may be something for you. Versus the other people that just come in here and say, oh, this was a terrible movie, don't waste your time, things like that. And people like that kind of upset me, just because you could go in there and give your opinion. I completely understand that, but still encourage the next person to give it a shot, because what didn't resonate with you could resonate with somebody else. And that's how we lose those films along the way, because so many people listen to what they hear on the internet and don't make up their own minds for things. And when they hear that, and then you have the other people that chime in, 30 people in the comments that are in total agreement versus the one or two that are a different direction, they tend to go with the greater opinion and end up not seeing that. And it could have been something great for them, and it could have been something great down the line, you know, in general for others as well. And it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and that sucks.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw one today where people were trashing Lake Mungo for being too slow and boring, and nothing happens. That's a common sort of criticism of found footage, and it's like, you know, there's a certain line at which, you know, there's like honest critique where you hoped for the best and it just didn't match what you were looking for, and that's okay, you just didn't like it. But then people go too far into trashing something and saying it's not worth it, don't even bother, it's garbage. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about, which is making sure that you've taken care of all your needs. Like I honestly think that most of the time when you see these kind of reactionary, just like over the top sort of critiques, it's because they're not happy with their own lives. They're you know, they're sad about where they're at in their life, or they wish they were somewhere else, or they wish they were making the movies, or, you know, they had a bad week or whatever. And then they kind of lash out and they take it out. You know, it's easy to critique other creators and just kind of like make yourself feel better. Like, oh, well, they made this trash movie that I think's terrible, and then that kind of makes you feel better. And some people almost take joy in it on like Letterboxd. There's certain people who they just get on there and just almost are gleeful about trashing indie movies and found footage movies, and they're so happy to put up the half star and the funny quips to try to get the most likes. And I'm just like, dude, if that's what you're doing with your life, you need to re-examine what you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
But people do gravitate more towards like the negative or the more reactionary, you know, things. So
Totally.
Yeah.
People
Definitely.
as someone that works in like sort of the customer service related industry, people are definitely more so willing to provide feedback in a negative way when they have been wronged or seemingly wronged, as opposed to screaming and shouting about the great service that they've had. And I like to sort of try and gravitate towards things like the positives of situations like that, and from being in that type of scenario, like in customer care, like you're always looking for the positives in things, and that's what we definitely try and do. There's definitely a lot of things that and pitfalls and tropes and found footage that have been done to death that people are, you know, tired of, but like it's never a good way to, you know, lash out at like an independent filmmaker. For sure. James Ersted, actually, he mentioned this. He had a guy that did like a half star or a low rating for What Happened to Susie, and then he basically went to their profile and he read out some of their most recent ones, and it was just like half a star, this was shit, 1 star, what this was crap. And then I think he got to The Gorge,
Yeah.
the Anya Taylor-Joy movie, and it was like 5 stars. This is awesome. And he's like, I don't understand why you watch so many found footage movies if you hate them so much.
Yeah.
Right.
That could be an 8-year-old who was watching it on his iPad while he was playing Roblox, you know?
True.
But yeah, I feel like if you know you're not gonna like something, why watch it in the first place? Like,
I think Anthony had a few reviews for Frogman that was like 0.5 star. I don't like found footage. Why'd you watch it?
Oh
Yeah,
my
what's the
god.
point? Why waste your time? Right. But yeah, you mentioned Anthony there. We were very much, at least I was very much a huge fan of Frogman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved it.
We just shot the sequel.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with Anthony. And,
Oh, nice.
wow.
Frogman Returns cast and crew.
Didn't
Oh
Chelsea
yeah,
for everyone?
Yeah, Chelsea made
That's
these.
sweet.
that is awesome.
Chelsea's in Old Wounds as well.
Yeah,
And she's in Frogman Returns, VHS 85, I think, and then she's shooting. I think she just shot another found footage movie. She's kind of the found footage queen.
Yeah.
And then Brian Villalobos, who plays Graham in Old Wounds, he was just in Frogman Returns as well. He's also in a movie that just premiered at Tribeca called Man Finds Tape, which is kind of like analog horror and found footage. And we're also he's going to be our host of Final Transmissions.
Oh wow.
We're trying to make him a found footage king.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's and I was going to say it's such a small world that we live in this found footage realm. Frogman and VHS 85. Chelsea obviously she was in both, and she was in segments for that, which were one of my favorites from that movie.
Yeah,
which was awesome. The collaboration between yourself and the Frogman cast and crew. Is that something like did you all know each other from before, or was this sort of a relationship that's sort of grown as you've sort of found common interest, or what's the story with that?
Yeah, Anthony and I actually met on a movie called The Stylist, Jill Gevargizian's movie that was shot in Kansas City in 2020, right before COVID. And so Anthony and I were roommates and like really quickly, immediately became really good friends. And so we've just been kind of helping each other out ever since. And so it's been really rewarding to see, our progress over the past 5 years. And, I think we both struggled to kind of like, I think most filmmakers struggled to get that first film, that first feature off the ground. And so just to see us both be able to do that, it's been very rewarding. And I'm so proud of him and what he did with Frogman. And, he tapped into found footage is kind of its own niche, but we didn't realize how much people love cryptids. Bigfoot, anything with cryptids, like people lose their minds. And
frogs are like cute too. So
yeah. And it's the fact that he picked Frogman, it's so perfect for him,
Yeah, me and John saw Frogman together, and I don't remember, John, did you see that before we watched it, or we both watched it for the first time?
I think I watched it before. I think we just
Okay.
randomly put it on like before we started making this podcast. I was going through a phase of watching a lot of found footage, and Frogman was one of them that came up, and then we decided we were gonna watch it together, and yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
it's fun.
By the end of that movie, I wanted a replica of Frogman's wand. Like, that movie was so good, I wanted a replica of the wand.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, my cat. So I was away on a trip recently. We had someone to come over and look after our cats, and one of them was given a catnip wand type thing. It's got like a star on it. It's like a stick, right? So I've just been calling it Frogman's wand this whole time, and I was just like, oh yeah, there's Bruno playing with Frogman's wand.
I love that. I love that he found such an interesting character that he can do so much with. And that's something we realized too, is the power of like iconography. You know, horror fans, you know, love villains and weapons, you know, like slashers. That's why slashers are so big. And so he tapped into that. And so it's so marketable because, you know, like I would love a Frogman action figure and the wand and like just the title alone, Frogman. You go, well, I want to see the Frogman, right? And that's something that her and I are aware of, that I think we're going to try to, you know, going forward, try to find our own path to that sort of success. You know, like he's basically starting a franchise from the ground up. Because, you know, and like Old Wounds, like we love it, we think it's a good movie, but there really is no marketable hook, right? There's really no like monster or like crazy kill or whatever. And it's like, what would the action figure of that movie be? You know, depressed middle-aged man.
Yeah.
Like
There's that kid.
yeah.
But I'm also like learning special effects, makeup stuff, so we'd like to have more gore in the movies.
Yeah.
Going forward.
The reason that it's because we weren't able to do it and we couldn't afford it. So you find ways to write around your limitations. And I find when I have creative barriers, it makes me more creative. But we are hoping now that we can start to do more of the fun, goopy stuff.
Nice.
Very cool. And that's what I love about found footage, is that you work with what you got, right? Whether you have a little budget, no budget, anything like that, you use everything around you. A lot of improvisation. And I think that that's what makes found footage what it is that it's very simple. It doesn't take a lot to make it. You can just use your phone if that's all you got, and you can really make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I always go back to Creep. I'm always like, it's two dudes. That's the whole movie, you know?
Right.
I forget what they spent on it. It wasn't a whole lot. But that's just so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Duplass brothers.
Yeah, Creep was so good. Actually, the first time I saw Creep, genuinely, when he's in like his bedroom and he's like filming him in the middle of the night, I was watching it at night by myself, and I had to turn it off and finish it the rest. The next day, I had to finish the rest of it. I had just been so like, the tension had built so much in the movie, and I was just like, and it took a second to just kind of like look around. I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's quite rare when that happens to me, because I like, my room just filled of like horror stuff, and like it's a huge part of both of our lives. So like to find something that affects you like that is just so exciting. And I finished it the next day during the day.
I think
love it.
As horror fans, we've always been chasing that high since we were kids, something that could actually scare us.
Yeah, which working on Final Transmissions has been an adventure, but we got Trevor Henderson on board to do some original art, and just like looking at his art, trying to make these images has been terrifying to me. Wow. So I'm like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
And there's 6 episodes in Final Transmissions, and each is a segment with a wraparound. And her and I, we actually shot our segment already, and we went to an actual abandoned haunted hospital near us.
It was very scary.
It's out in the middle of nowhere. The town has like a Dairy Queen, a gas station, and this haunted hospital.
Yeah. And we went on a tour like beforehand with this kooky character, and he like told us all these ghost stories about the place.
And then at midnight they locked us in, and it was just me and her running around, no electricity, just the flashlight and the camera.
Pitch black dark. It
was
so scary.
Wow.
And so I love putting her into situations where she's genuinely terrified.
At least you got Dairy Queen after.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So, but no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, an abandoned mental hospital or asylum it's the perfect breeding ground for found footage. So I believe the segment that you guys made is it Dr. Midnight?
Yeah,
is the segment. Can you tell us a bit about the segment that you're working on, and then we can talk more about Final Transmissions?
Yeah, sure. So Dr. Midnight follows a guy, me, who watched a cursed video online, and then he finds out on a message board, because this is like late 90s, that there's a way to rid yourself of the curse, and it involves going into Dr. Midnight's hospital. So there's a lot of really cool, creepy imagery. We like overall the series is analog horror, which is different from found footage, even though it incorporates a lot of those elements. Because I love analog horror, and we also wanted to differentiate ourselves from VHS. And so it was fun to play with kind of like creepypastas and, you know, early internet. And I just went back to the source of like, you know, what kind of started all of this, and what really drew me to this. And it was like, oh, in 1999, Blair Witch Project and Silent Hill on PlayStation 1. And so that was my kind of core, like that's what I was trying to achieve, is Blair Witch Project meets Silent Hill. And I think we pulled it off.
Then I'm excited for that, because Silent Hill creeped me out the first time I saw that.
Yeah.
Even the video game was creepy. I mean, playing it at night by yourself, you know, that
it has found footage.
That's crazy,
because the way the camera kind of follows you, and
Right.
how like the graphics are so crude in a way that benefits it. That you know the fog was just a limitation of the PlayStation, and it's just like found footage. They were like, hey, we can only see 15 feet in front of our character. What do we do about that? Well, what if we made it fog in part of the story and used that to our advantage? And they totally did. That's what made that entire franchise. It's just
right.
It's smart using your limitations. But yeah, we put up a couple of clips of Dr. Midnight on our Final Transmissions Instagram if you want to check it out and just get a sense of the vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll definitely check that out. I'm curious, before we jump into that stuff, a quick question I had on Old Wounds. What was the filming time for it, as far as how long it took to shoot from start to finish?
Yeah, so it was just over a week. We had I think it was 9 days. We shot for 4. We took 1 day off in the middle, and then we shot 4 more days. The last day was just kind of some of the driving stuff. So just a little more than a week, and it was just 5 of us. It was me and Chelsea and Brian and Erica, and then Anthony. And Anthony was like our one crew member, so he helped if we ever needed to like move lights or needed a boom operator, he would do that. And then Erica handled every other job. First AD, craft services, costumes, like, yeah.
There were only 5 of us, so we all kind of did a lot.
And it's like I encourage every filmmaker to go out and do this on their own. But there is an element of like, I couldn't have done this without having been on so many other sets and learning and trying. I basically worked every position possible on a set, and then you get to see, what does this team need? What does this person need? And then you're seeing like what to do, and more specifically what not to do. And I think the biggest issue that low budget filmmakers have is they just go and write whatever they want to write, and then they try to raise money to make that vision, and then usually can't get more than, if they're lucky, they might get $50,000 or $100,000. But then they're trying to force that vision into this project where they don't have the resources, they don't have the actors or the locations, and they try to stretch it too far. They try to make a Hollywood movie when they don't have any money. And so I'm always saying, like, reverse engineer, where you say, what do we have? Oh, we have a giant creepy house in the middle of the woods. Like, great, let's write an entire feature that basically takes place at that one location. And so it's just about being smart about your resources and using those to your advantage. So I knew we could shoot it pretty quickly with very minimal cast and crew.
Yeah. And it helped that it was improv as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always fun to hear how long it took to shoot these found footage films, because you've heard over the weekend, some have done it within a day, things like that. So I mean, they're relatively short. I've never seen one or yet to hear someone do it more than 2 weeks, which is phenomenal, because with even if it's 2 people just doing it, even in 2 weeks, that's crazy to hear that they can pull it off in that short a time.
Yeah, because it's I never want to do. Some people, they'll shoot like when they can, and so they'll just be like, oh, we'll shoot on this weekend, and then we'll shoot on another weekend 3 months from now, and then we'll shoot, and it's like, trying to piece it together over months or years. Like, if that's your only option, then great, go make your movie. But for us, we really try to just get it in one go. And a lot of that is just limitations given to us. The first feature we shot was on our honeymoon. It's not out yet, but we knew like we're only going to be here for like 11 or 12 days. So we had to shoot it all. Old Wounds, her aunt and uncle gave us that. They were like, you could have these 9 days basically. So we knew like, okay, we got to do it. Last year, we shot another found footage feature at a major music festival. And so we knew we only had basically 5 days. And so there is no like, hey guys, can you leave the festival going for another day or two? We've got to get some more shots. Like you just have to get it. And
we were literally shooting like till the sun came up the next day, our ending. Like, we have to get it.
Racing
right
the sun to get our ending.
Yeah.
But I love that because her and I really work well with deadlines. Sometimes with creatives, it can be hard to like zero in on a focus and have that structure. But when we have a clear deadline, it makes it so much easier to just like go. What was the question?
Yeah. And I can see that because your time frame, what you can do in that time frame versus, like you said, we'll do it this weekend. We'll meet again in another 2 or 3 weekends and we'll see what we can shoot then and there. And I like that because we can just knock it all right then and there and have everything in one go versus spreading it out over time. So, yeah.
And I really love when you're shooting in such a short, concentrated burst. We're basically able to shoot in chronological order. So even though all our movies are improvised, you like just naturally having these conversations and these scenes, something will come up that you go, hey, we can bring that back later, or we can pay that off later. And then it feels more planned and cohesive. And we can also do reshoots in real time. Most movies, if they need to do reshoots, it's months later. They have to fly people back out. They have to get locations again. It's a huge pain and it's really expensive, but we're able to just basically watch our footage every night and go, hey, actually, why don't we tomorrow just grab this again in a different way? And so that saved our butts a few times. So yeah, I just love the whole short burst of creative energy. And her and I, as much as I'm talking, we're actually pretty introverted, and so it drains us a lot to go and make these features. But when you're only having to deal with 9 days or whatever, it's a lot easier to manage. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I could ever work on a movie where they're like, oh yeah, we'll be here for the next 4 months. Or what was it, the new Mad Max Furiosa? There's a action scene that's like, I don't know, 15 minutes. And it took them like 3 months to shoot that one sequence. And I'm like,
that is
I don't have the patience.
crazy. Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I don't think I would have the
knowing,
patience for it either.
and knowing the sort of like creative differences of some of the actors at the time as well. Like, I know that Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy, they did not get on at all during Mad Max. So like, that's another factor as well. Like the having to stick around people that you either don't like or don't want to work with, or that can foster such an awful atmosphere. But when you're working with people that you love, your family members, your friends, like people you trust and rely on, it just makes it so much rewarding at the end of the day. So, and especially as well, like it translates through, and when you can translate through a film, like this was made with love, either for the genre or between all of us, like that definitely can resonate. And I think people can see that. People aren't stupid and can feel that. And I think especially for Old Wounds, that definitely comes across. So
I love hearing that. Thank you. And yeah, we like working with small teams and are a little more cautious about expanding that circle. And that's why I like making found footage. where else was it? What else was I gonna say? You tell me what I was gonna say.
Well, you always say like when it's a good set, it's like summer camp. If it's a bad set, it's like going to war.
Yeah, I've definitely been on some bad sets.
That makes total sense. Yeah,
The more control you can have over that, I think the better.
Yeah,
Like who's there?
definitely.
Yeah.
And now sort of leaning into Final Transmissions. Obviously, it's an anthology of analog horror with stories throughout, with an intertwining story. What were some of the differences in terms of either creativity or the sort of narrative process, even with tackling a single feature versus an anthology? Did you find any difference between the two?
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a lot of differences in the fact that we're working with like 5 other teams of filmmakers. And so there's a lot more collaboration that's needed. And it's a TV series as well. So it's, broken up into these different episodes, and we're doing the wraparound. So that'll be a little bit different than anything we've done before.
yeah, and most people, when they're crowdfunding or making things, it's typically features. Once again, going back to Mark Duplass being an inspiration, he's been crowdfunding television series and then selling them to Netflix or whoever. And so we're trying something a little different, a little more risky, a little more ambitious, I guess. But we're just so thrilled with the team that we have. I think beforehand, 5-6 years ago, when I was like, how do I get started, or how do I get into filmmaking, I had no idea. I made the mistake a lot of people make, which you think networking is like going up to a group of people with your business card and just passing it around and being like, hey, call me, hit me up so I can do something on your movie. But really all networking is just making friends along the way. Like you make things, and then you work with people and you collaborate, and then you help others. That's a big thing. I think a lot of creators, when they're getting started, they tend to focus on themselves and kind of like me, I want to make a movie. What can you do for me? And you have to flip that around, and you have to go, how can I help you? And go out there and bust your butt for a couple years and get on sets and help people and try your best and make their dreams a reality. And then you'll meet so many amazing people who then will want to help you. And then you're going to film fest and you're meeting other creators, and that's your time to kind of party and celebrate. And hey, we all did this. We're all doing this crazy thing, and just congratulations. And so that's where we met a lot of our collaborators. And so now we're so lucky and grateful to be working with Aviv Rubenstein and Leanna O'Shea, who made a movie called Lizzie Lazarus. And they introduced us to Michael J. Epstein and Sophia Cassiola.
Usually I do all the names.
It's a lot of names. I'm
You're
trying
so good.
They made a movie called The Once and Future Smash, which is a mockumentary about a slasher movie. We talked about Alex Hera, Nick Katrofu from McKinney Family Home Videos, and then Evan Churchill and Thomas Pardo. They made a short called Beholder, and I met them at Unnamed Footage Festival last year. And so it's been wild to collaborate and work with these other people, and it's so far been an amazing experience. And we're just honestly excited, like, even though we're the creators, showrunners, producers, like, I just want to see what they come up with. I just want to see them go do their thing. And like,
so we kind of gave everybody some guidelines, but we want them to have a lot of freedom with what they do. We just didn't want any story to be too similar to any other story. But yeah, some of them have done analog and found footage, some of them haven't. So it's kind of fun to see how everybody's interpreting that.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Absolutely. And now that you mentioned in the beginning, Mark Duplass, I saw that he got cast for A24's Backrooms. Backrooms is one of my favorite things that I found on YouTube. That is some of the creepiest stuff that you'll ever find on there, because being just locked somewhere that's like in another dimension, and rooms going to nowhere, but it's somewhere. And I can't wait to see what they do with him and with that, and see what comes of it.
I'm excited for that too.
I love that so much. we had conversations about reaching out to him to be part of this, and then we were kind of like, no, he's a little too big. I don't think he'd ever want to do like an analog horror project. And then cut to, a couple weeks later, and that gets announced.
Oh, we're also not age 24. So.
Yeah, we're not age 24.
Not yet.
We have $24 in our bank account.
Oh, no, that's good. And yeah, you mentioned the collaboration process, the networking that's come across. In terms of the sort of stories that are being told in these, are these anything that you've just sort of said, here's the sort of specifics that we need, and then they have just, I know you mentioned creative freedom, but like to what extent is that extended to some of these filmmakers?
Yeah, I mean, we have the wraparound, which is the host of kind of a show, sort of like Unsolved Mysteries, and he's presenting a transmission that he's received from an unknown entity, and they're showing each segment. So yeah, there's really not a ton of limitations that we gave them. So yeah, everybody's is just kind of a, I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I just love
creepy analog transmission.
I love directing and writing and acting, but I'm really looking forward to getting more involved with producing in the future, because I love being able to work with people and collaborate and give them opportunities and let them kind of have free reign. I don't ever want to be a producer that says you have to do it this way or else, like no, just we brought you on board for a reason, because we trust you and we love your art. So, just go make your art. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that in the future. Because I too, like, I feel like I always wanted a mentor in my teens and 20s. I kind of like was just hoping, a limo would pull up to my house one day and some famous director or producer would hop out and be like, you right there, we're going to help you out. Come on, let's go make movies. And so I want to be able to do that for people. Like, I want to go meet people who are just getting their start and would do anything to like make a movie, and for us to be able to provide that. So yeah, good first step.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. That's incredible, and it draws a lot of parallels with like found TV as well. Like I feel like every episode that we have always gravitates towards found TV, just because of the work that they're doing to not only put these movies out there, but also like work with these incredibly creative minds to make sure that they have an area to put that creative freedom, bring it to an audience that's really already curated towards that style and subgenre. So it's really an exciting time as a found footage fan, but also as a found footage filmmaker nowadays, just because of the technology that's around, and also the appreciation for that old technology as well. So yeah, no, that's great to hear. It's so cool what you're doing, and we're so excited for Final Transmissions.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're just happy to be part of this world and to be able to meet awesome people like you and just talk, found footage.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. So one last question. We always like to put this towards the end, just because we like to round it out with a fun one. So it's the weekend. I mean, whatever the case may be, it's a relaxing day. You're going to pop on a movie, whether it's horror, found footage, whatever it may be, action. What is your go-to snack when watching movies?
Oh, snack.
Oh, little snack.
Oh, that's a good question.
Her.
Good answer. Good answer.
I mean, like growing up, I loved snow caps.
Okay.
Snow caps with some popcorn. Still a fan of that. I mean, we go to Alamo Draft House a lot. We're lucky. We're out in Austin, and I think there's like 5 Alamos. So we're always getting burgers and pizza and loaded fries. I'm curious, what would you say?
I don't know. I'm trying to think like classic movie snack. But I love like kettle corn popcorn.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We got the two draft houses here in San Antonio. So I go to the one up in Park North, and yeah, it's always burgers and loaded fries. They've got pizzas on the menu too, so that's always nice. They've got full like restaurant food there that they bring right to you. So that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, we went to the IMAX in San Antonio to see Oppenheimer.
The Palladium,
Is that what it was?
or was it the one at River Center?
I think it was River
I think it was
Center.
River Center.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That one's probably been the oldest one. The Palladium they probably made in the last few years. I even remember going there as a kid and seeing the Ring of Fire, where they did like the documentary on the volcanoes and stuff like that. And it was like a really immersive experience where it kind of felt like things were moving a bit. So it's really fun there at the IMAX.
Yeah.
What about y'all? What's your favorite snack?
Popcorn and pickle for me. Being a Texas native, it's the norm to see whenever you go to any movie theater a dill pickle and popcorn on the menu. So that was like the simplest and cheapest thing growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
So that carried with me into life. So now even watching movies here at home, I'll put in a bag of popcorn and one of the 30 choices of pickles that I have in the fridge because I love pickles. I'll just kind of like pick which one I want. That's kind of what I go with.
Right now, Sonic has their pickle menu. We went to Sonic.
Oh.
And they got pickle all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
John,
I tried that pickle drink. My girlfriend, she got it and she gave me a taste of it, and it's really good. Even those little bubble balls in there are dill pickle flavored. That was very interesting. I mean, but it works. It works.
Yeah, it looks weird, but
Yeah, I've never met anyone who is such a fan of pickles than David. Honestly, this guy's obsessed with pickles. He's like, "Oh, I have 30 different types of pickles." I'm like, that's insane. But I saw on a trip recently, the peeler candies that are kind of famous right now on like TikTok, where it's like a jelly, pineapple or banana. Banana's probably the most prominent one, and you like peel it, and it's got like a different textured candy inside it, as if you're actually eating a banana.
I haven't seen that. That sounds
They had a dill pickle one randomly, so you can like peel apart a pickle, and it's got like I guess like a smaller pickle inside it, and you like eat that, and then you eat the outside, so it's like all gelatin.
We're gonna have to investigate. I mean, we're middle aged. We don't have kids, so we're always behind. We just found out about Labubu.
I've just heard about that as well, so I'm in the minority too.
I don't know what the fascination with it is, but everybody has one that I see. I walk out, go to the store. There's somebody that either has it on their purse or something like that. I don't know what's happening.
I mean, Beanie Babies were a thing.
Yeah,
right.
I would just any sort of fad type collectible toy, I think would just associate with Beanie Babies, and we know how that turned out. So
Yeah,
I think aging is the real horror movie.
yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
The click in my knees is the horror.
And as well, because I'm from the UK originally, we serve sweet and salty popcorn rather than like butter flavored, so like kind of like kettle corn, like the sweet popcorn. So we would serve that, and you can get like a mix, so you can get sweet and salty, and they just like mix it and like put it in a thing, and then peanut M&Ms was always a go-to for me as well. So
those are good.
You combine those two?
yeah, oh yeah, have to, yeah.
What's your accent? Is it?
I'm from Scotland originally.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, what'd you think of 28 years later? Isn't that Scotland?
Me personally, I loved it.
Was it Scotland?
Was it Scotland?
No, it's
The start of the movie is in Scotland, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Okay. What didn't we just see something else that was in Scotland? Oh no, we're watching a reality show called The Traitors.
Okay, yep.
It's
The host is Scottish.
It's horror themed
Yeah.
though. I hate reality TV, but she got me into it because it's like a murder mystery. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I think there's a version of The Traitors which is hosted by Alan Cummings.
Oh yeah.
And he's a prominent Scottish actor.
yeah.
But yeah, 28 years later, absolutely loved it. The start is definitely set in the Scottish Highlands,
Mhm.
and I understood the end more so than probably a lot of people did.
Yeah,
Because
I had no idea. He had to
Yeah.
explain it to me. I was
I had
like,
to tell
what
him.
was with the ending? What was with the guys in the tracksuits and all that stuff? And I was like, what's going on?
I still
And he
got
had to break it down for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on at the end.
Do you think this had to be intentional too, right?
Yeah.
Like the kid at the beginning, when he's like leaving his childhood behind, he's going out on this hunt. He leaves his Power Ranger figure,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's his heroes. Then at the end of the movie, it's shot like those Jimmies are Power Rangers, like the way they're flipping through the air and the camera angles, like it's shot like Power Rangers.
That's a good, yeah. That I didn't pick up on that. The prominent part is that they are dressed as a well-known child's TV presenter called Jimmy Savile, who has now been outed as a serial
Yeah,
pedophile.
I watched the documentary about him.
Yeah,
That was gross.
he
I didn't
had-
know that's what
he
they're
had a house in the Scottish Highlands that he would bring royalty to. So like Prince William and like Prince Andrew and like all the like royalty would go and visit him in Scotland. So my understanding is that when the kid runs away, he is like he's stuck in a time capsule of like the 90s, and I think that he's stumbled upon the home of Jimmy Savile, and he was like a huge like he loved himself, right? So he probably had all his tracksuits there, all his jewelry. That's why they all have the blonde wigs and like the jewelry and the tracksuits. Like that was his style.
Yeah.
So,
And it's
That's a fun
interesting
theory.
too because their like pop culture world got frozen
exactly.
in 2002 or whatever. So maybe in that world, like I don't know, they never heard the allegations. They never heard. So to them, he's still this hero from their childhood.
Yeah.
That's really messed up.
Yeah, and yeah, it was definitely intentional. A lot of people were confused. U.S. audience in particular were just like, "What the fuck is this? Why are they dressing tracksuits and why are they wearing wigs?" And then the UK population are like, "Why is he obsessed with a serial pedophile?" And I think it was Danny Boyle I saw an interview talking about the ending, sort of explaining it. He's like, well, if you really think about it, to your point you just mentioned, they're like, the world stops at that point in the UK, and it's now basically quarantined. So like you're stuck in what you knew at that time.
Yeah.
If that is, a pop culture icon, then that's what you're gonna know, and you're never gonna know the bad side, because seemingly at that point everyone's probably died or a rage zombie. So
Do you think they'll do a remake in America, and at the end a bunch of Cosbys will show up, or like?
yeah, basically what it's like. It's like, and then another 20 years later, it's going to be like a bunch of Diddies or that's the pop culture trend will probably follow for sure.
I think people would have been better with that ending if it was a mid-credits scene. Like I think the tonal whiplash threw people off.
Totally.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
But yeah, no, I mean, I really loved that movie.
I loved it as well. I appreciate it. I agree with you as well. I think because we waited 28 years for a sequel to this movie, basically, and then it's came out, and then it's been like this like really beautiful story, and like Alpha aside. That was another huge talking point. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like this whole like beautiful, story and imagery, and then it just like snaps you like right in there. And there is a sequel coming. I think they're making 2 more after this, and they're all related to 28 years later. So it's all in that period of time. And Cillian Murphy's going to be in the next one, and he's going to be a prominent part of the third one, apparently.
Yeah. And real quick, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but I think like horror fans, they remember things in a certain way, and then when when they're thinking of sequels, they just want like more of the same, right?
Totally.
Like if you think about Halloween, people might think like, oh, Michael Myers is crazy. He kills a bunch of people. He pins that guy to the wall. Like babysitters are having sex and like, right? But when you watch the movie, that stuff is super tame and there's not a lot of it, right? But then when horror fans, like, they want more of the same, give me more kills, give me gorier and bloodier. And I think sometimes when you're like something like 28 years later comes out, fans just remember the running crazy rage infected zombies and they're like, oh, I just want 2 hours of zombies running around ripping people apart. And it's like, no, like when you actually go back and watch 28 Days Later, it's kind of like 3 movies. You get the zombie stuff at the beginning, and then you get like character stuff and kind of road trip stuff, and then you get all the military stuff at the end. And the new one's the same way. Like they give you kind of what you're expecting in that first third, and then they go on a little adventure, a little traveling across the country, and then you get all the stuff with the doctor at the end. And so it's broken up in a similar way. And then also too, it's fun because we were talking about a filmmaker, creator, communicating with an audience. And the more you make stuff, the more you can kind of respond to what you're making. And so like in 28 Days Later, you're thinking military is going to be help, and then they end up being villains. And then in this one, you think this doctor is a villain, and then you actually realize he's probably the most level-headed person of all. And so, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on in there that I think people who dismissed it too easily are just expecting something that it's not, Anyway.
Yeah. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was really fun.
Yeah, I loved it.
It would have been hilarious if you were like, oh, it sucked. There weren't enough zombies.
And this is coming from somebody that's
big enough.
played out with zombies. Like I won't go out of my way to watch zombie movies because there's just so many. I'm just like totally like done with zombies. But I went and watched this one, and it was fun. I mean, it was a good ride. It's not like nonstop zombies throughout the movie. There's actually an adventure, and coming to meet this doctor, the whole place that he made with all the skulls and the bones, and I mean everything was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
and it's like Old Wounds. Like if you come there just wanting nonstop jump scares and stuff, but that's not that. It's focusing on the characters. That's what I think's important. So yeah. And zombies, like I don't ever want to make anything with zombies. I really don't watch much because it's not offering anything new. But I've never seen bloated, quiet zombies crawling on the ground eating worms. I've never seen roided out, floppy dick dong swinging alpha zombies who are knocking up zombies.
Yeah.
Like great. Show me something I haven't seen before.
Absolutely.
And that was crazy because the baby came out non-zombie. So I mean,
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh, so we have a little debate going on. Do you think that woman was a zombie and the alpha zombie impregnated her, or was she a normal human who got pregnant and then got bit and turned?
I think if she had got bit, I think it might have like impacted the baby in some way.
Okay.
I think maybe my initial thought was that it was the alpha that
that was mine too.
She was really far along, and her like when she like has it, like her, almost like a human side comes out. So that's what kind of I think it's hard. I think we might find out later. But I do think it's kind of like I do think it's going to be immune to it.
Yeah,
I think it's probably and the doctor does make a comment, and he says, "Oh, the placenta," which that is used to basically like filter out all the toxins. So it could be that she was just, she didn't know she was pregnant, was turned into this rage zombie, and it just, the child just developed as normal.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. My initial thought was the alpha, but now I'm questioning it.
Okay.
I thought what you think now is that
I thought it was the
pregnant
alpha
before.
because after she dies, the alpha like stops, and it seemed like there was a moment of recognition of like, oh, you just killed my woman,
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. But it's kind of funny to think though, like if she had gotten bit, you would have gotten some kind of like hybrid zombie baby where it's a normal person but just had a craving for flesh. So and that's how it functions. So I don't know. It's interesting to see
Like
the
the
next
Incredible
two.
Hulk, maybe they're
Right.
normal and then they get roided out and Papa Young and
They just get super dong.
Yeah. Yeah. Who
that's how
knows?
we're gonna end this conversation.
Yep.
You quote me on that.
No. Yeah. Thank you both for taking the time to talk to us this evening. It's been an absolute blast. I can't wait for everyone to hear this. If you can, tell everyone where they can find information about both your projects and upcoming things like Final Transmissions.
Yeah, we've got oldwoundsmovie on Instagram, Final Transmissions on Instagram. That's mostly where we do our social media stuff. My personal account is stevenhughnelson,
Mine's Erica Blair.
and we have our company, the Horror Hippies. So that's 5 Instagram.
We're mostly
There you
on
go.
Instagram. We're trying to get other stuff going, like a Final Transmissions TikTok, but we're kind of old. So.
And then we're running our Indiegogo for Final Transmissions for the next 3 weeks, and we're moving along. I think we're about 44% of the way there, and yeah, we got Blu-rays, we got roles. You could act in the series. We've got
have your name in it, or be like do a cameo, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're really excited about it and getting people involved and building that community. It's a lot of work, and especially for 2 introverts who don't normally post on social media. You can see if you look at my Instagram, I've posted more in the last 2 weeks than I did in the previous year.
I feel you there. I'm the same.
But yeah, thank you so much for having us on and giving us an opportunity and a platform. And it was great to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely, a pleasure. Thank you for coming on.
And yeah, we can't wait to see Final Transmissions. Definitely let us know if you want to come back on and talk about it again. We're more than happy to have you.
Thank you so
So,
much.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys.
So.
Absolutely.